What's going on, man? It's your boy Jay Holley, and we are back with another episode of Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. Thank you. You are far too kind. You could have been anywhere in the world, but I am so glad that you are here with me. I am Jesse Holley, the sports talk equivalent of Braille. People feel me when I speak. You guys know what you got to do. Hit the like, subscribe button. Notification buttons. Get this in your algorithms. Get this in your daily routine. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Go to Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Follow us on YouTube. Also, make sure you follow Unfiltered with Jesse Holley on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Follow Fanatics Views on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. At Mr. Fourth and Long, is it X now? At Mr. Fourth and Long on X. Make sure you hit the 5-star reviews on those. Leave your comments. Hit me up on Twitter for questions. And pass this thing around, man. Just get me all up in your business. Let's become one together. You guys know how I like to get down. I like to get my motivation at the beginning of my show because let's be honest, a lot of you won't be here at the end. I'm not for everybody. Some of y'all are watching this right now, don't even like me, but you just can't stop listening to me because you're trying to find some sort of crack in the armor so that you can come at me on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube or on whoever. It's okay. Bring it on. I love everybody. As long as you're here, you might well tell some people about it. So here's what I got for you. In this season, you may have to pay the cost of losing some people. In this season, you may have to pay the cost of losing some people. As we take this journey in life, we always think sometimes we have to hold on to those folks, whether they're family, whether they're lifetime friends, whether they're relationships, whether they're jobs, whatever it is. We feel like we have this emotional attachment to them and we just can't turn them away. And those could be the things or the people, the very things that have been holding you back and holding you down and keeping you from whatever that new level is. You may have to lose people if it means losing the person that you have become or the person that you're trying to become. You got to shed some of that dead weight. Mama, daddy, brother, sister, homeboy, homegirl, work wife, work husband, wife. I'm not here talking about to tell you how to go get a divorce. I'm saying that sometimes we work so hard to pull ourselves out of some deep and dark places, through some deep and dark things, through some ugly time and some ugly moments, that if who we've now become, the person that we become happy with, the person that we have become now enjoyable to look at in the mirror, if that means losing that person again versus having to lose those things again, I'm telling you to lose those things. I'm imploring you to let those things go. I'm encouraging you to say those things are not worth this new person that you have become. And I know it sucks to have to not talk to your father no more. But if every time you talk to your daddy is making you feel like that old, ugly, decrepit, broken down, unworthy, unpretty, unsuccessful person, then your daddy got to go. If every time you talk to your mother and she's making you feel like that despondent, like that rejected, like that ugly and defiled person that you don't like, that you have come so far from, if she puts you back in that space, then your mama got to go. That goes the same for a coworker, for a boss, for a best friend, for whoever. 2025 has to be the year of trying to find the happiest person that you can be. Look around us. A lot of us are leaving this earth way earlier than we're probably supposed to. And that's because we worried about what everybody else thinking, saying, proclaiming and pushing on us and trying to put us into the box that they think we should fit in. Be done with it. Be done with it. The cost that you may have to pay in this season may be the losing of people. And that's okay. Because you have found the new you. And the new you is opened up for some more people that will come into your life, that will breathe life in you, that will breathe life upon you, that will have that rose continue to blossom, to continue to water those things that you want, that's going to continue to feed you that affirmation that you need, that's going to continue to give you that strength each and every day to get up. It's going to give you that thing to look forward to. It's going to give you that weight being lifted off your shoulder. It's going to give you that shoulder to lean on. It's going to give you that stability. It's going to give you all of those things. Those people will come, but you got to lose the other people. Throw them overboard. Tie bricks to those people's feet. Toss them overboard. And don't even worry about them returning. All right, let's get into this thing, man. Cowboys still don't have a head coach. If you're keeping count and we're tracking, the Cowboys have now interviewed Kellen Moore. The Cowboys have now interviewed Robert Saleh. The Cowboys have now interviewed Leslie Frazier. If you're keeping count, that's 1, 2 Rooney rules fulfilled. 2 minorities already interviewed. In this new hiring cycle, you got to interview 2 minorities. Kellen Moore right now is in the playoffs, so even if they wanted to offer him a job, they would have to wait. And while they were waiting, a new name began to rise to the surface. One Brian Schottenheimer, son of Marty Schottenheimer, who was considered the OC in Dallas last year, but didn't call plays. He was titled as the OC, but didn't call plays on game day. That responsibility was held for Michael from Pittsburgh. But the Cowboys have now picked up the steam, and they have requested and plan on interviewing Brian Schottenheimer for their head coaching position. What do y'all want me to say? What do y'all want me to say? I am as confused as you are. I am as bewildered as you are. I am as, I don't know, man. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing. I don't know what the Jones are doing. And I know that they had a phone call. Jerry and Dion had a phone call, but that's not an interview. That's just a phone call. That's not formal. And if I'm not mistaken, to even hire Dion, there is still steps that you would have to go through. You would have to request an interview from him from Colorado. But here we are. We're sitting here and we're looking at the face of Brian Schottenheimer. Another one that presumably might check the boxes for Jerry Jones. Brian Schottenheimer, familiar, check. He is movable in the sense of Jerry can do things without the pushback. I don't want to call him a pushover, but check. Dak likes him, check. They'll run a similar offense to what Dak has been used to, check. I can pay him a cheap amount, check. And I can probably tell him the staff that I'm going to build around him. Meaning, yeah, if you're going to be the head coach here, Jason Witten has to be your at least tight ends coach. Check. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I believe whoever is the coach that is hired next is a bridge coach. This isn't the coach they're looking for the future. This isn't going to be the next 10-year coach. This is going to be a coach, to me, that will last to the end of Dak Prescott contract. And if for somehow, somewhere you're able to negotiate wins that get you to a place like Washington this year in the NFC Championship game, then maybe we'll give you a chance to extend you. But when Dak gets to that end of that deal where that money is no longer guaranteed and not such a big cap hit, I think they're going to sever ties there as well. And it'll be a clean sweep throughout the house. They kind of would have gotten their books back, rearranged their books back in order, got rid of some of those old contracts, have some salary cap, have some draft picks. If things go really bad, you'll have a higher draft pick in that particular draft. Then the head coach will be able to come in with a high draft pick, with money on the books and a clean slate and canvas to work with. I'm with you guys. I get it. The frustration has sat in for a lot of you. It's beginning to sit in for a lot of you. The lack thereof, not going to meet with and interview with some of the brightest other candidates. The Cowboys have this thought process in their head. They're just going to, it's like, we're going to go against the grain. Like, everyone that they want, we're not going to interview, so to speak. And everyone that we want, nobody else really wants. So, we have one up on everybody else because we're the smartest ones in the room. And it's been backfired on the Cowboys because the guys who nobody else wanted, they hired, and it's yielded nothing. It's handed the franchise nothing. It's giving the fan base nothing. And it finds us in this place of nothingness. That's where we lie. We lie in the abyss of nothingness because we don't believe whoever, at least from these four candidates that is hired, even if either one of them are hired, that there will be nothing that comes out of this hire. There will be no excitement. There will be no true change. There will be no true innovation. There will be no true culture change. You will see the same thing done again and again and again, and we'll find ourselves here in a couple years asking, why? And our feet will be knee deep in the waters, the sewage of nothingness. That's where they've left us. The Joneses have left us in this sea of just speculations and hope, but the hope has a foul stench of nothingness. It doesn't give the hope springs eternal. It doesn't give the smell of the hope of what it would look like when the calla lily opens up and blossoms. It doesn't give us the hopes of what it would look like of the budding tulips in the garden, or what the rose petals would look like of hope. It gives us a foul stench of trash from the depths of the Gucciest of the Gucci's juices. That's where we're at. And we're trying to piece this thing together. And we're asking the question of, who likes this coach? Will this coach be liked by this player? Or will this coach be liked by that player? Well, will this, that ain't winning, guys. That ain't winning. That is a popularity contest. Who could be liked? I had a long conversation with 3-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton, and I asked him, did you like Jimmy? Did you guys like Jimmy Johnson? And he said that it wasn't that we didn't like Jimmy Johnson when he first got there. It was that we had a healthy sense of fear of the unknown of Jimmy Johnson. And when Jimmy Johnson came in, and the way that he ruled in such a way that we knew that he had the final say-so in everything that went on with our lives. And so we respected Jimmy, and Jimmy respected us. And you only ran afoul with Jimmy when your work production did not meet the standards that he felt was a winning standard. And that went for everybody. He says, when you didn't like Jimmy, when we didn't like Jimmy is when we weren't matching the standard in which he set for us to become champions. And so when he said, once we became champions, the standard then was championship. And a lot of the veteran guys in that locker room knew what the standard had to be because we walked those standard steps with Jimmy coming into it. And those who were new to the gang also had to realize that here's where our standard is. Our standard is championship. Now, you will run afoul not only with us, but for sure with Jimmy if you didn't meet that. And players feared not meeting that because they knew the outcome of it. They knew the ridicule from it. They knew the ramifications that if you were a part of this team and you did not meet that standard, that your job and your future on this team was in severe, severe, severe jeopardy. And so you walked on the eggshells of, am I working hard enough to meet the standards of champions? Because that's what the standard that Jimmy Johnson brought in. And anyone that fell beneath that in those working hours was swiftly dealt with. I in my short time in New England, it felt very reminiscent to what Nate was talking about in those times. It's pretty tough to complain about gassers when your Super Bowl MVP is leading or at least trying to go out and win the gassers. It's pretty difficult to talk about, practice is too hard when the guy who is the face of the league and the face of your team isn't complaining about that. Now, I know people are going to say his quarterback doesn't get hit, doesn't get touched. I get it. But when the standard is set by the guys on this team, no divas, real workers. And granted, the thing that Jimmy had that a lot of these coaches will never be able to have, I shouldn't say never, because Jerry can't live forever. And I'm not putting Jerry in the grave. I'm just talking mathematics. Is that one day he won't be here. And then maybe that will be a change. And now the coach will have the ability to do what he needs to do from a authoritative, Leoleon. Authoritative point of view that they will have the final say-so when it comes to players. And so it doesn't matter who the Cowboys actually hire because the culture is set by one person. And until that person is willing to give up those cultural reins, unless you plan on digging up John Madden or you plan on digging up, Tom Landry to come back, or you're going to put Jimmy Johnson back in the time machine, put him in a DeLorean, take him back in time, we're stuck. And we'll see what they say about Schottenheimer. It doesn't matter whether it's Kellen Moore, whether it's Schottenheimer. Until further notice, this may be a cooked franchise. Until further notice, this franchise may be cooked. If history says they're going to continue to move in the way that they move, then you're not going to go and sign big-time free agents. You're not going to go and make big trades. You're going to continue to trust the draft. In the last couple of years, you haven't done that well. And then you're going to pay the guys on your team that you drafted and developed. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. 19 dryer sheets, tremble on low. And the cycle continues. That's the nature and that's the beast of the Cowboys and the abyss of nothingness that we sit in today. They'll interview Brian Schottenheimer today. They'll find out more about him, I guess. I mean, I don't know what more they need to find out about him. He was just in the building 2 weeks ago. You had the last couple of years with him. I don't know how fast he's able to assemble a staff, but just know he checks a lot of the boxes that the Cowboys would deem as this is our guy. And I want to add this one little thing before I go off this topic. Because it seems like there's been this, and it's not just me, it's been all of the media outlets, that there's been this thing that's been attached to, more specifically, Brian Schottenheimer and some of Kellen Moore, that along with getting the keys to this football team, you have to take the sidecar of Jason Witten as being on your staff. And that's just another one of those things where Jason Witten shouldn't be given a job. Like, shouldn't be given a job. He should take the approach. See, you know why people respect Dan Campbell? He took the route. He took the route. As the young kids say, he got it out the mud. You know why people are really respecting a guy like Aaron Glenn? Aaron Glenn was a good enough football player where he could have just said, yo, I want to be a DB coach somewhere. Put me on. But Aaron Glenn said, no, I want to learn. And I want to go to scouting, and I want to go on the road with scouting, and I want to be, quality control, and I want to be an assistant DB coach, and I want to be a DB coach, then I want to be a defensive coordinator, then I want to be a head coach. Because he said, I don't want to miss a step. When I get to the top, I want to know the responsibility of everybody at every level so that I have an understanding and then they'll have an understanding that I'm not telling you something that I did not do myself. I'm telling you because I lived it. I don't know what anointing that Jason Witten has gotten that he should just be ushered into being someone's tight end coach. Let him go through the ranks. Yeah, he's doing a great job at Liberty Christian. Congrats to those kids and those opportunities that he's had there. But this thought process of he just should be given this position because this is who you might want. And again, it ain't my team. You do what you want with your team. That's your team. But Jason always talks about it. The magic's in the dirt. The devil's in the details. Let him get his hand in the dirt and this coaching thing. See what happened last time y'all threw him a job? Didn't bowl too well for him. Didn't bowl too well. They said, oh, no. You're Jason Witten. Go do Monday Night Football. The details are in the dirt. Don't be afraid to let Jason Witten get his hands a little dirty. I think people will respect him more for that. It means a little bit more. That guys know, yeah, we know who you are as a player, but we also know that you truly got it from the mud. You just wasn't gifted this. I don't know. What the hell do I know? I'm just a skinny kid from Roselle who got back in the NFL out of a reality TV show. Something about getting it out the mud, I just appreciate it a little bit more. All right, man, let's continue to move on. The one coach who we didn't get, We didn't even get to talk to him. He is now hired. Ben Johnson, former Detroit Lion, Motor City Dan Campbell understudy, offensive coordinator of the Lions, is now your new head football coach of the Chicago Bears. Way to go. Congratulations. Ben Johnson has been probably the hottest name in the head coaching carousel in the last 2 cycles. He didn't like the offers that he got last year, didn't like the situation that was presented to him, so he went back, took the Detroit Lions to 15 wins. Was the NFC the NFC East? No, NFC East. That's us. The NFC what is it? North. Jesus Christ. The Detroit coming into it was looking at it going to the Super Bowl, but they ran up against the red hot smoking Washington Commanders, packed them up. Now Ben Johnson, and people are saying, well, was his mind confused? Well, his mind was occupied. Was he looking ahead and all that kind of stuff? No, I think Ben has been through this a time or two before. And let's be honest. Dan Quinn knew. The Detroit Lions knew. The players knew. Ben was gone. Ben was going to leave. It would have been a miracle if he came back for a 3rd year as the OC after being the hottest candidate on the market for 2 years in a row for head coaching. I think the Bears was it was going to happen. He stays within a division that he knows. I guess he has a blueprint on that. I'm happy for Ben Johnson. I'm biased, y'all. I'm biased. I told you guys before a long time. Ben Johnson was my teammate at the University of North Carolina, so I'm glad to see another UNC teammate of mine. Arthur Smith, teammate of mine. Ben Johnson, teammate of mine. Both. One was a head coach in the league. One will be a head coach in the league. Both was OCs this past year. So I'm proud to say that I'm a Tar Heel for moments like this. Don't embarrass me, Ben. Arthur's already embarrassed me. Don't you embarrass me. No. But yeah, this just goes to show you that Troy Aikman had he made a comment a week or so ago on the pregame show before the game that he was calling. And he said that the Cowboys' job was not, he believed that the Cowboys' job was not the most coveted job in the NFL. And I wholeheartedly agreed with him. I didn't say the Cowboy job wasn't a good job. I don't believe the Cowboy job is the most coveted job because of what you have to deal with from higher up to run that team as a head coach. It once was. The Cowboys was one of the most coveted jobs in the National Football League. It's taken a hit. It's taken a major hit. And when you have situations, because again, if I'm the hottest candidate, I'm the hottest head coaching candidate in the league, and if I believe my team is the most coveted job in the whole National Football League, and I, one, don't request to even talk to the hottest candidate, or two, the candidate kind of tells you through back channels, I'm good. We don't align. Don't even call me. No thank you. Thank you, but no thanks. Thank you, but no thanks. That says a lot. When people aren't really beating down your door, when people are kind of taking interviews around your program, yeah, I'll go see what the Saints talk about. I'll go see what Jacksonville Jaguars talking about. Hey, Raiders, what y'all speaking on over there in Vegas? Hey, Jets, well, let me holler at y'all. Nah, I'm going back to New England. When those jobs begin to get more buzz from candidates that are the popular ones, not the ones that nobody don't want, not the ones that's been in the barn that couldn't get employed, not the ones that's never been offered a head coaching position, not the ones that, not those. You don't have the most coveted. So I agree with Troy. And I don't think Troy's coming from a hateful place. So Troy, you hate. I don't think Troy's come from that place. I think there is no other team in all of football that Troy Aikman loves and honors the most than the Dallas Cowboys. I think Troy, like most of you, are a little bit fed up with how things have been run, how things are running, and that there's no visual sign in sight that it's going to change. I think that pisses Troy off. I think he goes into those games each and every week, and he goes, what are we doing? Troy talks to a lot of other GMs and owners and presidents and players, and he hears what people are saying about the Cowboys. And to him, he's probably saying, I adore this franchise. I gave this franchise everything I had. I helped put this franchise on the map. I helped make this franchise America's team. That came on the back of me and others. And now I have to sit here and watch it basically turn into Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. A circus. I think that bothers Troy Aikman. And so when he says things like, not the most coveted position, I think he's right. I think he is right. But shout out to Ben Johnson. To the most coveted head coaching in this process, to the victor goes the spoil. The Bears, you now have your head coach. You have the hottest name in sports. Caleb Williams, you are now on the clock. We all seen what players like Jaden Daniels has done in their rookie season. I'm not saying that you have to be Jaden Daniels. But a lot of people now will be looking for you to take that step. So if I were you, I'm on the phone with Ben now. And I'm trying to learn everything that I possibly can. This offseason, I try to get with Jared Goff or anyone from that system and try to figure some things out and get an advantage. All right, national championship game is over and done. Your 2025 NCAA College Football Playoff National Champions. The best team money can buy. The Ohio State Buckeyes, for the most part, whooped up on Notre Dame. And I know a lot of you are probably was like, man, didn't really feel like it had the star-studded feeling. It didn't have the anticipation. We talk so much about this 12-team playoff and NIL and, the rise and the fall of certain programs and all the twists and turns that bring, and we love it, that brings us with college football. This felt like it just didn't hit the same. It didn't hit the way that we felt that maybe the first, I shouldn't say the first annual, but the first national championship under this new format. It just didn't hit the way that we thought. And some may say that they may need to change the format of it and move it. Here's the thing. You're going to always come on the heels of NFL playoffs if you're playing in January. If you have any games scheduled in January, you're going to come on the heels of playing, on the heels of NFL games being played, playoff games being played. I think Ohio State, congratulations. Notre Dame, congratulations for even making it that far. I think they got caught up in a weird societal busy vortex. I just think that 3-day weekend, Martin Luther King weekend, you're coming off the heels of divisional round games, some good divisional round games. The coaching carousel has been really hot this go around. And then let's just be honest, the inauguration. You were either for who's in the House right now, President Donald Trump, or you were against it. Either way, you watched. You watched all of the proceedings. You watched all of the interviews and the pundits. You watched all of it, and you watched it all day long. And so that took away some of the viewing power. Now, the diehard Fighting Irish fans were locked in. The diehard Ohio State fans were locked in. But then you have all the rest of us who don't have a dog in the fight, but are college football fans. Some more into it than others. Some watch because it's the game to watch. Some watch because they're just invested into it. Whatever. But now you have to divide your time between my political affiliation and enjoyment or dissatisfaction to watch the inauguration and the game. I just thought they got caught in a weird vortex that they just, you're not going to have an inauguration every single year. So maybe next year you won't have that wave of people having to divide their attention. Media coverage has to divide their attention. So they just can't push it as much. I even think about ad dollars. Do I want to get my ad on one of the channels that's broadcasting the inauguration or the college football game? Depending on what company, how big a company is, got to choose. Which one am I going to get my ad put on? Next year, when there is no inauguration, I don't have to divide my money up with this huge platform that the world is watching. The world watched the inauguration. The world ain't watching college football. So now, when you get more money to put on something like a main event like the college football championship, now it's popping up everywhere. It's on your TV repeatedly. It's on your laptop. It's on your cell phone. It's in your emails. It's on your YouTube ticker. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Because the funds are being dumped into that instead of being the pie being divided into all these different places. So I'll just say that I don't know all what has to be arranged as far as dates moved up. I know you got to change that damn transfer portal date. That you got to rework. But as far as the way that this plays out, if your worry is being on the heels of NFL playoff, then don't play in January. I don't know what to tell you because you're always going to be coming off whether the end of the football season, the wild card round, the divisional round. Next week's the championship round, and then you have the Super Bowl. The NFL is going to dominate. I do think they just got caught up in a weird situation. But, it was a good game. I don't think it was as many stars. Like, there wasn't a lot of names. Like, you didn't have really – your Heisman Trophy player didn't play in this game. The quarterbacks aren't being talked about. And there's no first-round quarterback on this team. There is an exceptional player in Jeremiah Smith. Boy, when he gets a chance to get eligible for the draft, but he ain't eligible for 2 more years. So you had a lot of nice names, NFL draftable names, but there wasn't any superstars in this game that you're going to be able to follow into the NFL. I think that also plays a factor. You don't have the storyline of the 2 heralded Heisman quarterbacks or, a big name quarterback that'll be going in the first round that people will tune in to watch. But what you did have is you have on full display for every university to watch What is it going to take for you to win a national championship? According to this new profile, the going rate starts at $20 million. That's the amount of money that the Ohio State University put into their NIL collective that they were paying out this year for their football team. Now, however you want to divvy that money up, I know Jeremiah Smith, whatever his number was this year, is going up next year. $20 million. That is the best team money had bought in the new age of college football. If you want to compete with the big dogs, if those of you who are alum, when they send those emails out about have you paid your student union dues and your student tide dues, whatever the hell they call them now, you might want to put that $25 in that envelope. Cash App that $50, that annual $50 fee that you're supposed to pay every single year. Because if you want your football team, yes, you need talent. Yes, you need coaching. You need money. You need money. And the teams who have the most money will find themselves in this position most likely year in and year out. I mean, the game was good. The game was decent. Notre Dame made a push at the end, but you saw one team that had just far superior athletes, and that was Ohio State. Notre Dame has some good athletes. And football is good when there's certain programs that are thriving. When Notre Dame is good, college football is good. When Miami is good, college football is good. When Georgia and Alabama and Texas, like now get them all good at the same time. Get Alabama back up, get Georgia back up. Texas seems like they're right there. Notre Dame is Marcus Freeman feel like he got a good pulse on that. Ohio State, like now college football will be an enjoyable sport. Something that we will all rush to the TV to watch. And if you're listening to me, Colorado, I love you, Colorado. Go Buffs. The city can't afford to lose Deion Sanders. Economically, you can't afford to use Deion Sanders. There have been things, people have been building infrastructure around the football program. Companies, businesses, restaurants, rental properties, airports, tolls, gas stations, mini marts, mom and pop shops. They can't afford for Deion to be gone. They can't afford for them to go back to 3,000 people, 5,000 people at the stadium. They've gotten that taste again of what it feels like to have a packed house. So, y'all better get Deion that money he been asking for that NIL, because you saw what it looks like. If you're going to compete in college football, you're gonna need some of that moolah. What else we got? Tay? Is that it? That's it, right? What's we want to talk about? Huh? What y'all want to talk about? So and pretty soon we're gonna start doing some of these shows live, like so that way you guys can interact with me on the spot. You guys can give your input on things on the spot. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for me. I think we covered a lot of bases right there. Remember, like, subscribe, like talk to me. Like you could like in those spaces, like you can leave comments. You can leave things that you want to talk about. You have questions too.
Where do the Lions go from here?
That's a great question. Where do the Lions go from here? We need to start doing some mailbag questions. Start adding that to the mix. Some mailbag for the offseason. Where do the Lions go from here? It's a great question. And if Jay-Z had a line when Rockefeller Records broke up and Dame Dash was parading around the radio stations and social media and all of the places saying that I made Hove. I made Jay-Z. Hove had a line that simply said, if you made Hove, okay, so make another Hove. If Dan Campbell is who he say he is, then his ultimate plan should have been to build a tree. He had planted roots. Aaron Glenn, who will probably be the Jets' next head football coach. Ben Johnson, who is currently now the Bears' head football coach. Their offensive line coach is taking interviews right now to be OC in, I think, Vegas. No, I'm sorry, Seattle. Their offensive line coach. If Dan Campbell is the architect of the culture, they didn't call him the Fighting City Aaron Glenns, the Motor City Fighting Aaron Glenns. They didn't call him the BJ Detroit Lions. They called them the Motor City Dan Campbells, the MCDCs. So the Lions go as far as Dan Campbell's culture architect takes them. If he has built their culture so rich, I'm not saying that they're going to have the next Ben Johnson in place, but the next guy should be in place ready to go. They shouldn't skip a beat. Players, you know what the standard is. Players, you know what I require from you. You know what is required for us to be successful. We are no longer the hunters, but the hunted. Because everybody now will want to take down Detroit Lions. So to a man, the culture should be set. And if your culture is set, then all we have to do now is plug and play. The aggressiveness is not going to stop. You hope and pray that we had 15 wins, on this season. We ended the year with 18 dudes on IR. The hope and the belief should be that Dan Campbell has set such a great culture and a great belief and a great standard and a great how-to that it should run itself. That's how you run a successful business. A successful business should have so many great things put in place that if I'm not present, or if the CEO isn't present, if the manager isn't present, that everyone else under you still runs it smoothly. That's how a good business is run. So Dan is a culture setter. He is the architect of this. He is the orchestrator of this. He holds that little tiny pin that goes. Aaron Glenn was because of him. Ben Johnson was because of him. He is the person who holds the blueprint. He is Jay-Z. He made Rockefeller Records what they were. Dan, show us what you got. The time is now. All right, man, that's it for your boy, Jay Holley. I'm out of here. Remember, the cost that you might have to pay this season is losing some folks. Don't let them folks go back on what you've built. You are the architect of your happiness. Where does it go from here? Oh, like Dan Campbell. That's up to you. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Remember, eliminate the contingencies. I'm out.